I sanded through a carbon fiber front splitter for a brand new Ferrari SF90.
And why are you better at paint correction? Because of it.
It for me because I never think about color. It's never a thought in my mind, and
What made you fall in love with detailing?
it was doing my own car.
Different archetypes is the easiest to get into for new detailers.
I'd say, you know what, honestly, polishing.
Ciao ragazzi. Welcome to Arte Automobilistica. Today I'm joined by a special guest. Sir, could you please introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your detailing experience and all those type of things.
Yeah, my name is Brendan Bailey, CDMC in the IDA world. I've been detailing professionally for 12 years now, and then have owned a my own business for it for five.
Okay. So a little bit of mobile, a little bit of professional shop experience, a little bit of dealership OEM type of world. You're pretty well rounded. What do you think of those different archetypes is the easiest to get into for new detailers?
I'd say, you know what, honestly, polishing. Um, Polishing's fair as long as you approach everything with in detail with the understanding that you do things softer than more rather than as approaching it with a hammer.
Mhm.
Then polishing is a pretty easy skill to develop, and it's very stimulating for yourself because you can see the correction happen in real time, and I feel like it bites down on a lot of your fear that you get into in the detailing world, which is I might make a mistake.
Really easy to pick up. I've taught a lot of people who have never picked up a polisher who have been afraid of them. Young people, old people, all alike. And it's a fairly easy skill to build and learn. With that being said, what's the hardest part of detailing once you get into it?
I'd say the hardest part is understanding that every car is not the same. That you, while the stuff that was taught and that you've built through along the way is a great guideline and a base. Everything has to kind of be adapted on the fly because every factor changes how the car is going to detail. So.
Now, when you got into this, did you think it would require a lot of like problem solving or like analytical nature? Did you envision that, or was that just is a surprise?
No, it was definitely a surprise. It's in my nature as who what I do to kind of like rabbit hole on a lot of different things. And so with detail, I kind of just dove straight in, um, and then found that if as long I was working my way through problems, setting them up almost like an equation, or like in science when you say like this is my hypothesis, this is what I think is going to happen, and then what's your conclusion? Okay, none of that worked, and then modify.
I mean, which is amazing because when you think of detailing, you think of blue collar, roughneck type of individuals. You don't think that everybody is as analytical or nerdy per se as they tend to be. What has been your experience? Do you meet more people who are more intelligent than you think they would be, or what would you? I don't have a proper word to describe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely like a the world of detail is that don't judge a book by its cover. Because some of the people that you would look at and be like, this guy knows nothing, they'll surprise you, and they can be an ace behind something. And everybody has a skill set. I find that people, dive into a certain niche of detail, and then they're just an ace in that aspect. And you might look at like me and be like, oh, he doesn't know much, but I'll surprise you with a little bit of just knowledge dump, just word vomit. But it's the same. You every walk of life can do this. Everybody can be taught how to detail, and so that's the main thing.
Now I've noticed detailers, they can be kind of cruel to each other, kind of mean, kind of dark humor, kind of thing. Is it easier working in a solo environment or with a team of detailers?
So, and the only times that I've done teams is when I've chased certifications. Generally, in the certification classes, you have to. It's taught in groups. It's very rarely one on one, and so you have to mesh with everybody, and you kind of have to flow. Um, I feel like I do better. Uh, I do good as teams. I do great on my own. And that's the competitive nature tends to come out a lot in detail because it is a thing that is very visual, so you can actively see if like I am 100% doing this a little bit better than you are right now. I mean, look at my panel, kind of a
Yeah.
thing. But getting a detailer who has checked his ego is a detailer who has matured in the work, and I think is one that is beneficial to a team or as a solo aspect.
Yeah, I have fortunately had the opportunity to meet several people in the industry who they've checked that ego a long time ago, and they are amazing. And luckily for you, you live in an area where you have the ultimate resource. You live by Rupes headquarters. You have Jason, you have Sarah stopping by, you have tons of individuals there. How helpful is that in your development being that close to a facility like that?
It helped me progress extremely quickly, mainly because I do a lot of stuff on this. So I work for Rivian, and I do that 5 days a week. And so I detail, and then Saturday and Sunday is when I run the side hustle. And so that kind of puts me on a car every single day, where I'm encountering a problem. But being this close to like a great facility like Rupes is been very crucial to how I've accelerated in detail, because I took the class as I went in, thinking I don't know anything, and just letting them kind of help me out and guide me. And then if I had any questions, I've always been able to reach out to Jason or to Sarah, and then use them as, points. And just, every person that you meet can become a helpful instructor or somebody who's experienced something you haven't, and it makes you so much better, so much faster.
It really does. I mean, being that close, they're always coming out with new products, new development as well. Are you the type of detailer who needs the new toy when it comes out? Like they just came out with the new hybrid, they came out with the ceramic denibbing tool. Do you need all those?
In a world where Brendan wins the lottery, yes, 100%. I would love to have everything that comes out as soon as I get an email or a
Mhm.
newsletter and be, oh, you can try this little thing. But money stops me from doing a lot of that and just throttling it. And like, I would be very broke. I'd need, I'd need a large amount of income to throw out a lot of stuff. But I love going and trying everything. I like seeing where the development has come, and seeing where they're taking a lot of the tooling, because there are some aspects that that you can't enjoy, or you might say like, oh, this needs tweaking a little bit. Like with the hybrid, the big thing is the shroud.
Oh yeah.
That was a modified part on a lot of the on the first Nano, and then now it's integrated a lot better. So but I'm a big Rupes fanboy. So when they launch something, I try to get my hands on it. That or Car Pro.
Yeah, and I understand, fanboying because I've been a Rupes person myself for years, but I was always disappointed in the hybrid because it didn't have that power like the Flex PXE 80 has. So I
Hmm.
always lean more towards the Flex for my micro polishing. But now that I've had a chance to play with the hybrid, the new version, I think I might be able to ditch the Flex.
Yeah, there are some aspects with everything that I enjoy. Like the PXE80 is fantastic. It's a great little tool, and it's versatile, just like the Nano. Um, I got to I Jason trained me on the Nano, and so I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot
Yeah.
for it. But with that, I was trained to do more edge work with the Nano. So instead of trying to accomplish big stuff, it's a lot more of like rotary edge. But the main one of the main things I like about Rupez's battery tooling is that you get the torque all the way through the battery, whereas a lot of manufacturers you lose that torque as the battery starts to deplete.
Yeah, and that's the drawback of the Pixie. Like
Yeah.
when it starts to, it really does die off quickly when the battery's going down. And the bigger flexes, those were always a problem too. I haven't tried the new like 24-volt ones, but still, um, I think I'm more on the Rupes side anyway. I think I'll stick there. When you do your side hustle, as you mentioned, are you doing mobile? I happen to know a little bit about your rig, and in Southern California, rigs are a big deal. If you pulled up to one of the events here with your rig, people would go crazy. Can you tell us a little bit about your rig?
Yeah, so my business is run completely out of it. It's mobile and it's completely out of a 2003 Ford E350 ambulance. So I still have all the lights, the sirens, the air horns, because the decals were on the side of the ambulance for 20 years. You know, they're baked in. That's never coming out unless I repaint. So it still says paramedics on the side. So when you can pull up and it's great. Everybody loves it because and it's awesome for detail. I have
Yeah.
so much room, so much built-in storage, and then I have 9 feet of bed space. That's all enclosed, heated, AC, lights, the whole nine.
I mean, it's such an incredible concept, and it fits with your name, and it fits with the detailing that you do and the companies you work with. Like, it's incredible.
Yep, yep. So Detail RX is on the side of it, and then actually I work with Dr. Beasley's a lot, and I'm the authorized detailer here for Colorado,
Hmm.
breaking them into the market.
Which is really, really awesome because before, it was a very small niche type of company, and it had no representation at all. So it's really incredible to see. You're also involved in the IDA, as you mentioned, with your CDMC. Uh, Can you tell us a little bit more about the IDA for those who aren't a member? Now, I am a member, I'm on a committee, things like
Yeah,
that.
no, the IDA or International Detail Association is it's a great collection of detailers or people that have a passion for detail, where you can go in and you can use a lot of like guides and be able to speak about detailing and then learn the processes of how to detail. And we try to build stuff for almost every aspect of the detailing world. So I'm on the industry standards task force with Mike Phillips, Jason, and a few other people as well. And it's we put out all these guides for you to a great way to clean your leather. Here's a touch. Right now we're working with Tony Pando and
Mm.
Dr. Color Chip to create a guide for how to touch up color chip and rock chip and stuff like that. So there's lots of different aspects and everybody willing to share a wealth of knowledge. And then the certifications, they make you better. I'm a big cert chaser myself. So if it's offered by a company, like I like to break it down into this different industries. So for like I joke that like if Stanley Steamer were to hold a carpet cleaning class, I'd take it. Just to learn how to clean them the way they do. Their national company. So with leather, I went with Lederzentrum, which was its former name. It got bought by Color Lock, which now is owned by Koshkemi.
Yeah,
So
it's going
chain.
through its own problems right now, but that's industry stuff.
Yep, yep. But yeah, it's a massive glossary and then a huge resource, for everybody. And there are other groups like Detail Mafia that are something similar to the IDA, but it's just a great way to share knowledge.
Yeah. And even the Detail Mafia, they do training during their big training, their 5-day course. They certify you and skills validate you in the IDA. So they still feed in. They just do their own little meetings, and it's kind of like they see a whole different route to go, but they still push people into the IDA, which is always good. The more information we can get out there into the world, I think the better. Obviously, I'm a cert chaser, if you will, as well. So
Yeah.
I understand, and I'm all a part of it. I'm actually going to be teaching a class, and we're marketing that we're actually going to be a certification class here in a couple weeks. So I'm going to be teaching a mat certification class. And
Awesome.
actually, we're going to give the certificates out and all that stuff. So it's going to be a
Awesome.
fun time. So if you're in the
Yeah.
LA area, come on by.
Yeah, stop on by. Yeah, matte paint is always always something fun,
Yeah.
because you get to learn about all the different factors like the gloss enhancers, can't use them, can't rub too hard. That's friction. Friction creates gloss. Kind of it's a whole thing.
So you understand, and I mean, it's going to be a good time, especially for the community out here. When you get into like your rig, one of the things they focus on out here in LA is your water tank because they have water everywhere. I know you're in Colorado. When you heard that we had like water at all the detail supply stores, what were your thoughts? Like, is that weird to you?
That would be so crazy, but that would make that'd be awesome if I had that resource. I don't. You can't. That doesn't exist here in Colorado, as far as I know.
Mhm.
So I can't just like pull up to a gas station and buy soft water. That you can pull up to a gas station, buy jugs of water, but generally a lot of what I'm doing is sourcing water from customers. So a lot of the mobile aspect is just gauging them prior, just to see if it's gonna work out. If you have access to a water spigot,
Yeah.
that's all I need.
Yeah.
Everything else is all done by me. So
It gets a little difficult though because you actually have weather changes. Like in California, it's summer year round. What do you do in the winter when it comes to washing? Do you just become an interior guy in the winter?
my preference, a lot of I joke that sometimes the way that I do mobile is kind of breaking the mold of what you do on mobile detailing.
Hmm.
Because I do have some clients that they don't want to wait and they do want their cars washed, and
Okay.
I do have to maintain them. So my preference is above 40 degrees, um,
So very cold.
because yes, I have had issues where I've been on sites where I've tried to use foam cannons, and the foam has frozen to the ground before, on the shaded side of the vehicle. So it becomes a bit of a slip hazard. So there's a lot of what I do is I try to push interior, like you
Okay.
said. I do try to do that. Yep. If there's an exterior need, I gauge it based off weather. So a lot of like if you try to book me right now, like I just took a booking for December 6th, it's weather dependent. If we're all good, then we can do that. If you have a garage, we can modify the process.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of what I try to do is I do specialize in ceramic coatings, and I do specialize in trying to make those coatings mobile as well, which mobile installation for ceramics is a little tough. But it is something that I do, and one of my stipulations is you do have to have a garage, because I want to force the cure, and I need that coating to set.
With your focus on safety for yourself or weather for your standards, keeping to a high standard, now I want to change it up a little bit. What's the biggest mistake you've ever made or the biggest mishap you've ever had in detailing?
I sanded through a carbon fiber front splitter for a brand new Ferrari SF90. Um, those when they just first came out, so everybody liked to tell me it was $700,000. I was working on it, and like, this is great. Let's instill some anxiety. The way the carbon fiber was built, it had a ridge line, and the ridge was peaked, and they wanted to see what I could do for it. And I was working with 3,000 grit, just to try to go soft. I was like, we can try to do this. And I did 3 passes, and I was like, okay, I can just go a little bit more. I think I can do a little bit more. I can push the boundary. And on the fourth pass, I went through. Um, we had to get the piece replaced. Was not cheap, and the boss was very upset, understandably, because I had said that I was proficient in sanding, but it was something where I should have taken into account. I should have drawn a line saying that, this is where we're already working with a ridge point where it's going to be thin. It's probably you have a much higher chance of everything starting to go wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and that's my biggest mistake. Second biggest mistake. Realizing about the other one was a was also a Ferrari 812 GTS headlights. Didn't know at the time. So Ferrari has a coating that goes on the headlight that keeps it from yellowing. Um, Out, and it's not a like a just a special like clear coat, because when you put on polarized sunglasses you can actually see the rainbow wave in the headlights.
Hmm.
um, but they wanted me to get the pits that had acquired from track use out of the headlights. And so I was using 600 grit, and 600 didn't take the pits out. So I stepped down and I went 400, and 400 got the pits out. But then 600, I wasn't able to get the sanding marks from 400 out. I had grooved it, and then found out at that time. Went to my boss. Hey, just by the off chance, how much are 812 headlights? And he goes, 12,000. And I went, that's for the set. That's crazy. And he goes, no, that's per. Um, and so I had told him what happened, and right there was a $24,000 mistake in an hour and a half. It was costly. Your lessons don't have to be this expensive. For everybody watching, you can do this on cheaper cars. Go to pull
I
apart.
We've all made mistakes. I've messed up a lot of stuff. It just hurts hearing that they're Ferraris. Anybody who knows me, I'm not a car guy, but I do like Ferraris are it for me. And so just hearing the Ferraris get destroyed or, need extra
Hmm.
stuff, I'm just like, oh my God, it's like the nails on a chalkboard. Like, oh,
Oh
Brian's
yeah.
over here killing Ferraris. He's killing the horses.
Oh yeah. 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 No, it was definitely experience.
So we all make mistakes, but we all have wins. We all, do an amazing job on whatever we're working on. What is your favorite car you've ever done? And also, what's the most expensive car you've ever done?
Most expensive, probably be the Zenvo.
Okay.
So while I was at Ferrari of Denver, we were a Zenvo dealer when it was first getting launched, and so we would invite our highest clientele out, and they would get to drive, and you got to test drive the Zenvo with the head engineer, and you got to meet the owner of the company,
Mhm.
who was a right hand man for Christian von Koenigsegg for a number of years. It's a very cool experience. I got to detail those cars, two of them. I had the blue carbon with the white trim, and then also the white carbon with the blue accenting. And I've detailed both of those for the Goodwood Festival of Speed. That was a very cool detail. I've also done when the Ferrari 296 GTB came out. I did that car, and then I was told that Microsoft came out and 3D scanned the car for a video game. I thought,
That's pretty
well,
cool.
I don't know why it needed to be perfect in a detail, but I love the backstory behind it.
Mhm.
Favorite car I've detailed. Honestly, I did a 1961 Mercedes SL 190. Very cool black exterior, lacquer paint, interiors tan. It was when you stepped into it, it was a different like it was like stepping into a different time. It was very cool to see how everything used to be at that point. The Mercedes had a silver ring. So you have the horn in the center of the wheel, and then you had a silver ring, and then you had the handle. But the silver ring was how you actually would turn your turn signals. So you would turn it on as you turn, and it would turn your turn signals. It was very cool. That was definitely the coolest car that I've detailed.
I mean, I love hearing stories because I love classic cars. I love doing classic cars. I just like the paint better. It reacts better. It pops when you're done.
Hmm.
Like those cars just are true works of art. And that's what made me fall in love with detailing. What made you fall in love with detailing?
It was doing my own car. So in the beginning, I just wanted to keep my own car clean. So I had it actually. I finally had upgraded from my '96 Honda, and then I had gotten a 2005 Nissan Max Altima, and then I traded that almost immediately for my for a '98 Lexus ES 300, and I drove that car for 10 years. Loved it. I kept it very nice, but it was falling in love with detail for me was it was about doing it myself. It was about seeing, okay, this is the issue. How can I go to solve it? And it helped scratch that analytical side of the brain. But it also, I'm a very visual person. I like to see progress getting made, and if I can see it happen in real time, that's my thing. So like when you can polish and you can see it getting brighter, and you can step back and you can go, okay, look at this, it's great. That's the one I spent the most amount of time detailing. I mean, hundreds of hours learning, practicing every little aspect, and then tons of people, hey, you want to do mine next? And then it it went from there.
Yeah. Because you kind of did everything solo, did you use YouTube as a resource? Did you have a mentor? Did you have anybody you leaned on in the beginning?
A lot of so my family is big into the automotive world. My grandfather has been a basically a Porsche fanatic master builder since the '70s. He trained in Stuttgart, and then he owns his own repair shop, mechanic shop, performance kind of a deal in West Palm,
Okay.
and they specialize only in Porsches up until '84.
Oh, okay.
Yep, everything prior to water cooling. Um, they've always been in the car world. My uncle does 3D printing using and his carbon fiber using 3D printing is what he does. So he scans stuff, creates a mold, and then he makes carbon fiber out of it. And it's kind of got me into it because I was always kind of sweeping around the shop, kind of looking at
Mhm.
all the nice cars. And, in the beginning, he wouldn't let me touch the cars. So I just got to clean engine blocks. And that kind of started a little bit. And then you kind of move into, okay, you didn't want it done that way. Okay. So you learn a little bit. When I got my first car, my '96 Honda, I would do washes. But I was just it was all the wrong washes at the time. So it was, with a sponge and Ajax on the lawn, kind of a deal. But when I started taking detailing seriously, I started using YouTube just as I wanted a guideline. Because I'm so visually stimulated, I have to talking to me on the phone or just reading a book doesn't work unless I can be immersive, unless I can be in there or see it. So I watching someone, even if I'm not I can, if watching how they apply, okay, when I'm doing a car, does it look similar to how it was when I was in the video, when I was watching that, or, and you kind of just go from there. And then I met people as I started to detail, and they would say, okay, it's not really how we would do things, and, modify and correct.
Yeah.
And then as you just, as you get into it, you start learning all the different process, and now it's secondhand nature. But I still like to watch, and still, YouTube has grown. People joke about YouTube University, but that's a very real thing, where if a lot of the big names are putting out good information, that you can learn from, and it is free and accessible.
Is there anybody specifically that you watched or watch currently that you're like, man, this guy, he's really good, or this girl, she's really good? Like, is there anybody you watch?
Yeah, Larry Crosilla, and Ammo NYC. He's kind of been a favorite. I kind of bounce around. The about 10 or 11 years, actually, Chris Fix It. He put out detailing videos about how he was doing his Corvette, and I was watching those, and it was Mustang. Um, I've watched a little bit of Pan the Organizer, a little bit of Matt from Obsessed Garage. There is the Detail Geek from Canada. He was a big one that I watched in the beginning,
Mhm.
just because it's again a visually stimulating thing. That's what scratches the itch for me. But you know, watching a dirty car and you just watch it get clean, you know, kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
So speaking of these names, and have you got a chance to meet anybody that you've watched? Is it a starstruck moment, or is it okay? Like, do you have any of those nerves?
I tend to not speak up. If I when I get starstruck, I tend to not speak because I don't want to say something that I was like, oh, I think this is right, and then have them be like, nope, you're dumb, that's not right. And I just like it's kind of like a don't meet your heroes kind of a thing, and I'm like you just like leave sad. Um, so I didn't. I don't do that. I meeting Jason was very cool. Being on the board with Mike Phillips was a little bit crazier for me because I would watch him on TV growing up on Speed TV, and it was like okay, like if I met Chip Foose, I'd probably lose my mind, you know.
That's awesome. But now comes the fun part. Now I ask this to everybody. It's funny because I've never answered it for myself, but I ask it to everybody, and it's just for fun. Uh, you're doing a car, ridiculous car. You have, you know, a couple days to get it done. Whatever car it is, it doesn't matter. But you pick four people, any four people within the industry, whether you've worked with them, whether you haven't, anybody who is your Mount Rushmore of people that you are getting to help you. And they can't say no, they'll say yes no matter
Oh,
what.
okay, yeah. Um, Four people. Well, you know what? Let's go with the four that I'd go Mike Phillips. I'd go Larry Costilla. I'd go Jason from Rupez, and then you know what? I'll grab you, Ken.
Oh,
I want.
uh,
You know that's powerhouses. You know, the only people that I can see throwing beef would be maybe Jason and Mike.
yeah, that's a real
Are we
interesting
going to
one.
rotary the car? Are we going to DA the car?
That's a good dynamic because I like when I think about it, I'm like, I want this person because of this. I want this person because of that. And like I try to get too analytical with it and I get stuck. So I'm like, I got two, I got three. Oh, but they carry this and this, and then like my getting trying to get my fourth person, I turn it into like a 40-minute conversation and I mess it all up. So I like how fast you were with it, and you were like boom, 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 and you were like, that's it, we're going.
It's very yeah for me. I've worked on them. I'll throw Dave Reed
Mhm.
IDA. I'll throw him in as well. Everybody's got it's like a certain niche, you know,
Mhm.
for it. You know, whereas you know, I like it's all encompassing. The only thing that we would actually have a beef on is not a beef, but a discussion is how are we going to correct the paint? You know,
What's the first
um,
step?
yep, that's pretty much it. We're all on board with everything else, and you know, while Mike's whole thing is more about paint and glass, um, like Larry is great with interiors, leather and old carpets, and making sure that you're not ruining materials, you're over soaking them or creating rust in spots where you can't get it out. You know, it's a big thing. Jason has always been a big talking point for me. Big thing as I'm a big microfiber pad guy. A lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
change out
yeah.
of it, but I love the microfiber pads. You know, from McGuire's, they were part of his design,
Mhm.
and then Rupes is built off that. You know, with the density changing within the backing.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a really good combo, and like one day I'm gonna get my four. I'm gonna actually have it down. My problem is I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna need people I haven't worked with. I'm gonna need people I have worked with, and it's gonna. I just it starts to become like that tangled web of like mathematics on a big chalkboard, and I'm just gonna be like, because there's so much talent and there's so many good people, right?
yeah,
Do like I might want to work with one person who could be the most amazing person you've ever seen online, but are we all going to get along kind of thing? And then it's like,
yep,
oh man, I'm
yeah.
with this guy because I know they're going to get along with everybody and there's going to be no problems and we're going to have a great time and they're going to tell jokes. But their talent is just in the middle, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's alternatives. As we keep going, that I'm thinking of, like Sarah would be she's great with gel coating.
Mhm.
That's kind of her. Boats are her bread and butter. So it's you've got that. I mean, we could do Rennie Doyle if you want to do planes. If you want to talk about aluminum polishing.
Yeah.
He does that on a very large scale.
Hmm.
And then there's people that I've never met before who will probably blow me out of my chair with how well they can do things. There's always someone better.
It's just one of those things like, oh, if I want to go rotary, do I get somebody like Aaron Knox? Do I get Shine Doctor? Do I get, and then you keep going through like the whole web and it's one of those things like, well, their personalities may be abrasive for others but it's such a fun conversation to have, I think, because as detailers, we focus so much on what we're doing and we don't ever and show positivity towards others. It's always been a real negative, toxic environment in detailing. And it's changed a
Competitive.
lot. And I appreciate how much it's changed and getting an opportunity to work with others has really opened my eyes and broadened my horizons there.
Yeah, yeah, I agree completely. It's a very competitive field. So
Mhm.
and that just kind of like it can bring out the nasty side of people. So
Um, I get it because I understand the competitiveness. Like it's like if you ever go to MTE, they now do the paint correction competition. Ego wise, is that something you would want to get into, or is that something you would stay away from?
what? I'd probably do it just to try it. Just to try it, just to see. For me, I think the conditions of it, because I think it's like you've got to use their product. I think it's one pad. I'm not, no, I'm not quite
No,
sure
it's
how
like they
it's.
set up. You can use whatever tool you want, whatever polish, whatever pad. Like, but it's all the material is the exact same, so they're all
Okay.
painted the exact same way, the same size.
Okay.
And it's like single
Yeah.
stage, like black GM like paint. Like it's super soft. Like, and everybody has the same type of panel.
Okay. Yeah, I'd give it a shot. I'd give it a
Yeah.
shot. Yeah. I don't think I'd take home the medal. I might place podium, but
I think it's one of the things that's cool. It's just like you have to be there for the whole time of MTE, and I mean, MTE is a great experience. It's a great event. SEMA is a great event. Have you ever been to a trade show? Have you ever been to any of those events?
nope. Unfortunately, haven't. I haven't been to SEMA. That's a bucket list item for myself. I'd love to go there
Mhm.
and see all the craziness that it is. MTE would be great as a networking opportunity. I feel like just to meet everybody within and kind of expand and get other people to um, know you, or you to kind of get a little bit more into the industry. There's a ton of detailers here in Denver, but there's no activities. There's no like meets, stuff like that. So I've not met. If you don't detail and I haven't worked with you, I haven't met you. Kind of a deal. I'm kind of just floating through like an island.
It's real solo still out there in that area where
Yeah.
it was like that when I was on the East Coast, and then when I got to the West Coast, SoCal is a much more I don't want to say competitive, more constructive. Like everybody works together and they big up each other and they support each other out here. Obviously there's some friction in certain camps and all that, but I mean for the most part it's a pleasant experience, and I wish there was more of it out in the world.
Yeah, that definitely be something great to be a part of, to be able to expand it like that.
All right, so last question. I'll let you go. I know I've taken up a lot of your time. You're a very busy man. Where do you see yourself in detailing within the next 5 years?
Shop owner. Um, so I would love. A lot of my goal has been to get to the point where I can train.
Mhm.
I would love to be able to train because I like to. I could talk till the cows come home about detail. I love detail theory. I love to. Okay, let's try it. see if this is actually the better way, or if we can improve this, or just teach people that you don't have to have this fear about detailing. You can clean everything, and then that translates to your home, and then everything can just be on easy mode. We can make maintenance easy, but I would love to be a shop owner. One of the things that I'm investing in myself is I'm going to do the Car Pro window tent, ceramic window tent training and PPF training. Um, yep, going to buy a plotter, and then start offering those services as well. Once I can expand, I'd love to become a place where it can detail is done. However, we can also focus like automotive restoration at that point. Buying cars, restore them, and then taking them all the way up to full protected, whichever way you'd like to go. Because in a world where Brenda wins the lottery, I would love a you know, air compressor that I can power a dry ice machine, so that I can do restorations via rust or undercarriages or protecting surfaces that you just can't with other ways. I'd love to just fully go in on PPF and tent. That way you check all the boxes for protection. You got your chemical resistance. That's your ceramics. You want your physical resistance. That's your PPF. And then I'd be able to guide somebody almost like a broker, but guide somebody into the right way for the way they want to protect their vehicle. Okay, this is the use that you're going to be putting in it to. This is what I would do for your car.
Yeah. I think it's a really, really awesome concept because then you can be like, you live in this area, you get the snow blast, you're going to need the UV protection, you're going to need all this. Like, I think that's a really amazing concept. I lied. There is one more question. um, you have a superpower.
Yeah.
I have a superpower. And certain people in the industry, like Aaron Knox, have this same superpower. You are colorblind.
Very.
Why are you better at seeing scratches than everybody else? And why are you better at paint correction? Because of it.
It for me, because I never think about color. It's never a thought in my mind. Instead, it's more about light and the way the light bounces. It's a way for me to, I don't know. It's like I'm looking at a black and what we call storm blue, which is kind of like a blue gray. But I just am looking and I'm seeing reflection, how the light is waving off the panels. And that really teaches you how to do, if you're able to see and you're able to manipulate the light, everything is the same. All scratches are white. So, at the end of the day, I think it's the color blindness is fun because I can take a paint shade test, and I can shade match fairly okay. I can't tell you what I'm looking at, anything like that, but I can be like, that's not really the same. And it's funny because my fiance is not colorblind. And it's almost like she has like an extra cone because she sees colors I can't see at all. She does. Whenever I do leather restoration, and I do it mobily, I tell people you get to meet my fiance because she comes out and she has to color match for me because I can't do that.
But it's going to be perfect. It's going to be a perfect match if somebody who can actually see.
Yeah, well, she can look at beiges and see like there's blue in there and I'm like, I'm not seeing blue. Yeah, whatever. You're gaslighting me.
I think it's one of those really neat things, and I think a lot of people don't realize it or understand that the color normal vision gets distracted by it. So when I meet somebody else who's colorblind, I think it's really amazing because they always seem to be a little bit better at the paint correction, a little bit better at the enhancement. And I think it's the reason why
It's
you're not
shutting
distracted.
out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a lot with things. I used to, when I was a ski instructor, I used to tell everybody I know we're on the top of this beautiful mountain. Don't look at that. Look at the upcoming 20 feet. You worry about how everything looks when you can ski without falling, but worry about the upcoming 20 feet.
Perfect. Brendan, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Is there anything else you want to get out into the world and to tell anybody else before I let you go and you go enjoy the rest of your busy day?
Everybody can detail. You can do it. You can do it. You don't need, $900 polishers. Pick something up, give it a try, and then just remember, least aggressive to more aggressive. Don't start hitting things with hammers.
It's perfect. I love it. Thank you for the advice for everyone. Breanden, thank you so much for joining me today. You go enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
You have a great one, Ken. It's been awesome for this. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Ciao.
So here we are.
Bye.
We have a sandy mark of a heart. Mia is going to attempt to remove it with the least aggressive methods possible. So she's going to try out avant-garde finishing polish with her flex and a white pad. So 1 second while I grab her flex and we get started. Turn up the speed a little bit. There you go.